once I get in the door, I know that I can make that sale. But I just have to get that first initial appointment set. Every month I do 3 to 6. And in AEP season, I did 10 seminars in a month. Wow. And that was my goal of how to build my book of business as big as I could. Yeah. I didn't profit a ton in this past year because everything that I do goes right back dumped into the business to build more seminars. Yeah. And I would recommend if you're not doing them every month in the first 2 years, you should.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Medicare Sales Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Dallas Keithley. Appreciate you guys jumping on with us again for another great episode. We appreciate all the feedback we've received, all the comments. Would please remind you to like, subscribe, click all the buttons. Just go crazy, start clicking, and we'll get everything we need. But I do want to hear from you. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you dislike. Let me know, who you want to see sitting in that chair over here next to me, who you want to see on the show, what questions you want to ask. Give me your struggles. What are you struggling with in the Medicare world that we could help you overcome? That's our goal. Our goal always is to help you build your Medicare business, expand it one play at a time. And we appreciate you guys helping us out because you make us better, right? Today, I am very excited to be joined by a good friend of mine. I've known this kid, and I'm going to call her kid very respectfully, but I have known this kid for, 20 years now. Watched her grow up, watched her go through different stages of life, and just have been impressed with her at every level. So please help me welcome to the studio, Miss Casy Askins.
Thanks, Dallas. I appreciate being here.
Absolutely.
And I am a kid. You've known me since I was 5. So
yeah, there were diapers involved. We won't say at what age, but there were
10. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there was some weird times. But I do appreciate you joining me, man. So Casey is the daughter of Brian Askins. Been in the insurance business, around the business, all of your life,
my
correct?
whole life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so want to go back though because we're going to get to your competitive drive.
Okay.
If you meet Casey, you are going to learn in about 42 seconds that she's competitive.
That's probably on the long side.
Yeah. I gave it you're maturing. You know what I mean? She's going to, like, if you're drinking coffee, she's going to drink hers faster. I'm surprised we don't race in the hall here, which the day is not over. But I'd hate to do that to you. But Casey is a bit on the competitive side, and that comes from your love of athletics and all that stuff growing up, correct?
Absolutely. Playing basketball, 4 sports in high school, college, and then coaching college. I just love it. Yeah.
That's now, you say you played in high school. You did more than play. There's some records here in town with your name on them.
I have a few Missouri records, and it was fun. I loved it. Basketball was my world for a lot of years.
Yeah. Man, I'm telling you guys, when this kid commits herself to something, she goes all in on it. And you've done that in the insurance industry. So you play high school basketball, set the state scoring record, which was recently knocked down. Have you hunted that kid down yet? Or
Yeah. Fought her twice. No, I'm just kidding.
In the parking lot of a Target.
I actually messaged her and told her that was incredible.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think you have to do that, right?
Yeah.
No, that's
makes
awesome.
you look good, you know?
It does. Taking the high road here. No, but then went on to play at Evangel University and had a good career there and learned a lot there. And man, I got to watch you throughout that. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
It was cool. Now that established your competitive drive. You went on to coach. Tell us about your coaching career and all that.
Yeah, so I went on and I coached 2 sports at a high school in Kansas City, and I loved it. I coached basketball and volleyball, and then my dream was to never be a teacher. My dream was to always coach college basketball, and I knew that I could someday. And so as soon as I got the opportunity, I got an opportunity from a school in Tennessee, and I took it, and I went and I coached college basketball for a year, and I never regretted it. It was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah. So tell me now, you got in there and I got to watch all this, right? Like I saw you get the job at Tennessee. That was amazing. That was awesome. And you loved it.
Yeah.
But you obviously wound up in insurance.
Yeah.
How hard was that transition and why? And, what's your thought process there?
Great question. So I am the stubborn kid in my family. Who there is. Obviously, I have 3 siblings, and they're all a part of the business, or their spouse is a part of the business. So I was the kid who said, I'm not doing it. I'm not following in every Askins footsteps. I want to be stubborn, and I want to do it my way, and I want to be independent. And I was for a long time with teaching and then coaching. And my family tried time and time again to get me in the family business, and I just kept saying no. And then I realized 2 things I really wanted, and this sounds probably dumb, but I wanted to set my own schedule and be able to work when I wanted to work. And I wanted to be able to sit on the back porch and drink a cup of coffee in the mornings and not have to be at work at 6 a.m. And I wanted to have a career that I could make a lot of money. I'm not in a bad way, but I'm motivated by money. And I knew that insurance could do that, but I was always scared that I wouldn't be successful, or I wouldn't be as good as my dad, or I wouldn't be as good as my brother. So I think that was some fear in getting into it, is the unknown of, will I actually be as good as everyone thinks that I will be? Because everyone says, you need to do it, you need to do it, you need to do it. You will be so successful, you will be so good. And I heard that for 10 years of my life. And I'm like, well, maybe I wouldn't be so good. So and I knew I was good at coaching. I knew that I would be great at that. And that was easy. There was some comfort in knowing that that is an easy decision. But here I am, my first year after insurance, and I did great. I almost beat my brother's first year of how much money I made in a year.
Yeah. That's awesome. Now, isn't that interesting? People came along, and I think people have to be mindful of this when they're talking to young people, because they came along, and in a way, they're trying to encourage you. You would do great. You would be this. You would be that. But what they're doing is they're building that expectation that you now feel like you have to live up to.
Yeah.
And that can almost be hurtful.
And as a competitor, it's like I want to live up to that. I want to make everyone happy, or I want to be as successful as everyone thinks I could, and I don't want to fall short, because that is just not fun for me. So there was some fear, and there was some, not necessarily, their intentions were always good, but it always felt a little bit intense.
Yeah. And I think too, people have to learn how to motivate people.
Yeah.
Right.
Fair.
People have to learn, really, I think a lot of times we just speak without thinking about it. I know that I have done that once or twice in my life. But no, and I was probably even guilty of that in my career, or in my encouragement of you, because I would say, hey man, Casey, with your competitive drive, with your knowledge of the business, you're going to kill it. Right. Yeah. And basically you're hearing, if you don't beat everybody, you're a failure.
Yeah.
And that's tough, man.
Yeah.
That's really tough. So what flipped the switch? Why did you get into it?
I think that I got into it because still there was some independency. I knew I could create my own company. I loved the idea of having something that was mine and being able to make it big, but still under the footsteps of my family.
Yeah.
And I think it got to a point where I was like, I think I could do this. I don't know to what extent and for how long, but I think I could. I feel confident enough to be able to take a step in this to know that it's the right decision. And I just one day said I was going to do it. I quit coaching, which was terrifying because I didn't have anything lined up. So I said, I have to do this. And I had no job. I got paid to a certain month with coaching, and I knew no more income would come in at that point. And I knew if I did it that direction, I would have to succeed, because that's the only way I can live, when I make money.
Yeah.
So I knew if there was no other income in, I had no other choice. I know if I would have done it on the side or something like that, I would have never been as successful. Yeah. So I just had to let myself go and just do it.
Nice. So one thing that I've seen from you, and I get the privilege of looking back, I'm not in the family, but I get to watch, right? And
might as well be.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. As long as I'm in the will, that's all I care about,
Fair,
right?
Me too.
No, yeah. I get to sit back and watch. And what I watched you do, and tell me if I'm wrong, I watched you say, okay, look, I am going to build my own expectations.
Yeah.
And I'm going to work for me.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that I have a family that I can, but I'm going to work for me. And another thing is, it's funny how we always feel guilty about what we have given to us. Or
Yeah.
I think that's crazy, right? Successful people take every opportunity that's in front of them. They run with it, right? But at the same time, I saw it from your dad's perspective too.
Yeah.
Your dad brags all the time on you. Like he, almost every meeting when we start talking about Medicare seminars or something like that, which we're going to get to, your dad says, Casey is killing it in seminars and cross-selling. I've heard him say that 50,000 times, but he always follows it up with, and I didn't help her with a dime.
I cannot take any credit starting out. Like, I have every resource at my hand that I could imagine. Like Cody, my dad, Ty, Matt, you. Like, I
wish I'd have been higher, but no, I got you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll switch you and Matt and Ty.
Yeah.
But I've had every resource at my hand to know that I wasn't going to fail. That ever if I had a question or I needed help or direction or guidance, I had people in my corner at all times that would walk me through every step or let me be able to call and say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't cross-sell for the first 4 months because I had no clue what I was doing. And I got to the main event last year where I kept hearing people talk about cross-selling. And so I sat and I met with my dad and say, explain this to me because I know I'm leaving so much money on the table. How do I do this?
Yeah.
So it's nice that I have the resources that I have to figure it out. Yes, I mean, I couldn't have done it without my dad and my brother and all those people that I listed. But I also...
I'm going to disagree with you there.
But like my dad said, like I have figured it out. I've been able to navigate it and create my own, which I love.
Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's cool. You started out kind of rocky, right?
Yeah,
in the insurance world. Like it talk to me about how many, did you ever think about quitting?
Last January, the income that I got, I guess in my mind, like I started in December of 2022. And so I had 1 month of AEP, 7 days of AEP. Yeah. I was like, I'm about to get so much money. And on January 2nd, I'm about to be rich.
Yeah.
I woke up on January 2nd with like $3,000 in my account. And I was like, holy cow.
That's not.
This isn't going to make me be able to sit and have a cup of coffee on my back porch. Like,
maybe hot water, but no coffee.
Right. So I was like, holy cow. And it got a little better in February. And then it got a little bit better in March. And then it got a little bit better in April. But those first December, January, I was like, I was making this $2,000 when I was coaching, and I could still be coaching.
Yeah.
But I had my best month last month in January. And when you have really good months, it reminds you like, okay, this is totally possible.
Yeah.
And once you figure it out, I don't mean this bad, but it's not that complicated.
Right.
Once you can master it. But for the first 4 to 5 months, I was trying to scrape anything off a plate of anyone who would tell me what to do because I just didn't know.
Yeah.
But it really took, as cliche as it sounds, and everyone keeps talking about this, the main event to like make it click. Because I'm in Kansas City, I just kind of do it by myself. Like I said, I'm the stubborn kid. But it really took the main event to be like, holy cow, I'm missing so much. And then it just got better. Well,
let's camp there for just a second. The main event, for those that don't know, the main event is a event that your FMO puts on every year, and you get to be around people that are, there's probably 200-300 people there, agents, stuff like that. Talk to me about your brother says it all the time. Big things happen, big events.
Yeah.
Talk to me about why you go to events, because you got people around you. What is it about an event that helps you out?
I think event is just so good because everyone has the same goal in mind. Everyone wants to be successful, and you're surrounded by people who are already successful, like my dad, or two, you're surrounded by people just like me who are just starting out and knows that they want to be successful. They're just not really sure how to get there. Mm-hmm. And there's so many people who have walked the walk that I'm trying to do right now who can say, hey, this is where I messed up with. Let's do this. And that's why seminars are so amazing that like my dad created that because it worked. Mm-hmm. He didn't have that when he first started out, but he figured out a system that worked. And now it just like goes, and then I take a twist on how I want to run my seminars and do things that work for me.
Yeah.
But I've learned how from the main event to just surround yourself with people who want the same goals.
Yeah. Perfect. So let's go back to, you said you use the word, I think you use the word, you got into it, or you got a system. I love the word system. I failed at this business twice.
Yeah.
Came back and finally got into a system where I knew what I was doing every day. I knew where my people were going to come from, all that. Talk about the system. You use seminars.
Yeah.
So walk me through. I want to give people something applicable.
Okay.
I want to give people something that they can say, okay, I heard Casey say this. Now, we probably can't lay out the whole thing. Like, this is only a 20, 30-minute podcast. But
Yeah.
let's talk about the basics of it. So talk to me about a seminar, the steps of it, and why you're doing it.
Yeah. So Medicare seminars are genuinely the best thing that I could have ever got to. My entire business is based on seminars. And I started out by doing 3 to 6 every month. And it's expensive. But it's the best return of income I could think, because you get face-to-face with people. Mm-hmm. You get to show your personality. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why seminars are so good for me, because it allows me to just be me. And mm-hmm. they know that they're getting all of me. So I do 3 to 6 seminars every month. And my goal is if I do seminars on a Tuesday, Thursday, my goal is to have made contact with every person by the seminar by Friday. I have learned over the course of a year, it's so crucial that you are making contact with people from the seminars 2 to 3 days after. And if I'm doing them on Thursday, it needs to be done by Friday, because if it rolls over to the next seminar, 1, they've got another mailer, probably in the mail almost, yeah. Or 2, they've lost your card, they've lost your folder at that point. So you want to make contact and get them on the schedule in 2 to 3 days after the seminar. And once I get in the door, I know that I can make that sale. But I just have to get that first initial appointment set. But every month I do 3 to 6. And in AEP season, I did 10 seminars in a month. Wow. And that was my goal of how to build my book of business as big as I could. But I put so much money back into the business. So I didn't profit a ton in this past year, because everything that I do goes right back dumped into the business to build more seminars. Yeah. And I would recommend, if you're not doing them every month in the first 2 years, you should. At least 3 to 6 every month in what you can afford.
Yeah. So with the seminars, step 1, you're finding your location, right? So, talk about what you're looking for in a location.
Yeah. So when I send Medicare seminars, I market the Kansas side of the Kansas City area. And my goal is to try and I actually have a different approach than some people. A lot of people just do turning 65 on their seminars. For the first 3 months, I did turning 65. And now I do anywhere from 65 to 70 during AEP and OEP, just hoping to get people who are on Advantage plans in this time. But I try and market about 10 to 15 miles out from the seminar, because in Kansas City, people are willing to drive that far for a good restaurant.
So you know your area.
I know my area really well, and I think something I've learned is how crucial it is to have a good venue. Have a venue that people don't want to pay for, or people don't get to go often, so they will come to your seminar to have the meal.
Nice.
And so that I have learned to work really well for me is to go to a place that not a lot of people go to. And I try and market anywhere from 60 to 70 years old. And I don't have a cap on my seminar. So I let as many people show up as possible, and I make it work.
I like it.
If not as many people show up, I pay for the amount of people that I was hoping that would be there.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all right. It balances out, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I have learned that if I get 2 to 3 people, I've got return of income from every event. And typically I get about 80% success rate from my seminars.
Yeah. And if you guys are watching for the first time, go back. We did do a seminar with Brian Askins, her dad, or a podcast with Brian, her dad, talking about where we lay out how to do a seminar and stuff like that. So be sure and go back and find that one. So to me, though, I think one of the biggest reasons, and I want your input on this, one of the biggest reasons to do a seminar is it makes you the expert. So when you go into the house later, you're the person that was standing up talking. Like, there are thousands of insurance agents in the Kansas City area.
Oh, yeah.
That sell the same thing you do.
Yeah.
Same product, same price, everything. Those seminars just establish you.
It really does establish me. And every time I leave a seminar, the first question people ask, or during the seminar, says, did you coach? Or are you a coach? Because every time I do a seminar, they can
making them run?
They can just tell. Well, when I do a break mid-seminar, and I say, you have 5 minutes. If you're not back in 5 minutes, we're starting without you.
You're doing wall sits.
So I'm very structured, I think is a great way to say it. Some would say bossy, I would say structured. But I have my coaching voice when I speak, and I think they can tell there's confidence. In the beginning, there was such a lack of confidence in my first 2 to 3 seminars. I don't know how I got clients from that. I did. I don't know how I did. But the last 6 to 7 months, there's just confidence when I do them. And I know my material.
Well, confidence comes from that right there, knowing your material and all that. So then you're following up, writing them. One of the negatives I hear from seminars, because I don't ever want to this is all unicorn, golden. Rainbows, and all that stuff, right? It is costly, right? You have to pay.
I spend about $3,000 to $4,000 every month on marketing.
Okay. Then sometimes it can take a minute to see that business fulfilled, right? See those apps come in, because if you're doing the turning 65 market, they may not turn 65 till 3 months from the seminar.
And sometimes I go out, if I'm turning 65 and I do that, sometimes I go out 7 months.
Yeah.
So like Dallas said, I won't see that income at least for a good 5 months.
Yeah.
So I know that I just have to, my 80% that I know that I can get to might take 5 to 6 months.
What are you talked about cross-selling. What are you cross-selling in those appointments compliantly, right? What are you cross-selling in those appointments to maybe help build that income while you're waiting on the Medicare income to come in?
Yeah. So I am always trying to do hospital indemnity plans, cancer policies. We have a retirement specialist with Impact. And so what I do is I try and see if they have a financial advisor, retirement, and I let them know like a financial advisor helps you get to retirement, but that doesn't mean they're always retirement specialists, to make sure you never run out of money. And I do the spiel with them and try and get them connected. And every time at a seminar, there's a sheet that says, do you want more information on any of the following? If you do, please check.
Yeah.
And some people will check long-term care. Some people will do life insurance. So it just...
Yeah, and I was hoping that's where you would go. You have realized the importance of a team, right? And I joke, going into a home, and like you've worked this whole time. You've established yourself as the Medicare expert. I know Medicare. I know Medicare. I know Medicare. You write the Medicare, and then you say, by the way, let me look at your 401k. That's like going to a dentist and him saying, hey, by the way, I've been watching some YouTube videos on chiropractic. Let me take a crack at that neck. Yeah. And you're talking about somebody's soul, like their retirement, their income.
What they've worked their whole life for.
Right. So you don't have to then pivot and try to make yourself the annuity specialist or the retirement specialist. You then pass that off to someone else. Talk about that just a little bit.
So I only do Medicare. I pass off my under 65 health insurance, and I pass off my annuities because I know I'm really good at Medicare, and I know that I have mastered Medicare, and my goal is to never master annuities or anything else because I know I don't have to.
You stick to that goal, kid, right?
I know that I don't have to, though. I know that our retirement team is great and going to get the job done way more than I ever could because that's what they do. Like, that is how they make money. Medicare is how I make money.
Well, and a story I love to tell. Your dad told me this story. He said you went and your very first annuity, you called him, you said, Dad, I found 50K. Like, these folks want to give me 50K.
Yeah.
And you were excited about that. And your dad's like, introduce them to the team. Introduce them to the team. And you were almost hesitant, right?
Yes. Because I didn't want to lose it.
You knew if you introduce it, like you have an agreement, they get 50% if they help you. And you're like, I'm going to lose. Like, you're doing the math in your head.
I'm going to lose a lot of money. What I think is a lot of money at this point.
Tell us how that turned out.
So it was really odd. It was someone who did not attend my seminar, but overheard me talking at Olive Garden seminar and came up after the seminar and said, hey, I overheard what you were talking about. Can you give me a business card? They called me, and he had said he had $50,000 for an annuity. I connected them with the retirement specialist team at Impact, and they uncovered $2 million.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you gave up.
All right.
You gave up all the commission on a $50K for half the commission on a $2 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
a good deal.
Listen, I don't do math in public, but I know that is gooder.
But.
Yeah, right. So, all right, let's finish with this. You're now building a team, right?
Yeah.
Which I think you're doing it the right way. You and I were talking in my office before the podcast about how many you should add and stuff like that. Like, you want to do it the right way. Tell me your goals. What are your goals for Askins insurance team and building and stuff like that?
So my first initial thought when you asked that question is every time I think about building a team or growing a team, I don't feel good enough to grow a team yet, established enough or ready enough. But unfortunately, my brother has instilled something in me. Not a lot I want to take. No, I'm just kidding. Cody has instilled in me to don't think, just do.
Yeah.
Which in some things it's really good and some things probably not.
Yeah.
But I just say that to myself daily. Like, don't think, just do. So I am growing a team, and I have 3 people already on my team who had just started in January 1st. And my goal is to only have 5 in this next year because I want to make sure that I'm helping them in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And not getting too much where I can't handle. Because I told you this too, I'm not at the point where I can just focus all my time because I'm getting a lot of residuals.
Yeah, you're your top producer, and you need to be for the next probably year or 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm 1 year in, and I want to give them as much time as possible, but also not take away that I still have to make money because I'm not established yet.
Yeah.
So I think with 5, I can still sell what I need to sell and grow a team at the same time with 5 people.
Yeah,
my goal is to obviously long-term have a lot more, but not in this second year.
I love that, though, because a lot of agents come in, they're like, I want 200 agents by the end of the month. And I'm like, okay, are you ready to receive 200 phone calls every day?
Yeah.
Like, and be responsible for their success and all that stuff.
I talk to one probably 15 times a day. And so it's like, I know that they need so much guidance.
Right. But what you have, and why I believe you will be successful in building a team, is you have a great system that you can plug them into, right? To me, a leader is, and learned this from your dad over several times over the years, a leader is somebody that basically is leading from the front, but almost leading from the side. Like, you're linking arms saying, let's do this. You and I, let's roll.
100%. I told Aaron, who's a new guy I brought on, I said, I don't know everything. We will figure it out together, but I don't know everything yet. Like, building an agency and navigating the process of contracting and all the new things, I'm still learning. And I told him, you're my first recruit, so like, we're going to have to figure this out together. And from here on out, I'll have it mastered. But unfortunately, we're going to have to walk side by side and figure those steps out together.
But I think that's what people want.
Yeah.
So people that get in the insurance world, they don't want to have a boss.
No, they want independence.
They want independence. So if you're out there and you're recruiting or growing a team or whatever, I think the way to approach that is not come work for me. I think it's come work with me. Yeah. Let's figure this out together and let's grow together. Yeah. That is much more appealing than, hey, come do what I say, right?
Totally.
Just come do what I do and let's do it together.
I just keep Aaron, tell him, Aaron, make me rich. Bring a lot of people on, just make me rich.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. We're going to fine tune that. We may put that in Chat GPT and say this professionally, but we'll work on that. I love that. Casey, you have always impressed me. I'm proud of you, kid.
Thank you, Dallas.
How old are you now?
26.
26. What did you make your first year?
115.
115. Yeah. What's the goal for 2024?
250.
250. You're going to do it. I feel it.
And then 500 and then $1 million.
And 500 and $1 million. I love it. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on. And guys, if you want to get a hold of Casey, how do they do that?
My cell phone number is 417-773-8526. Also, if you want to email, it's Casey, but spelled really weird. Blame my parents. CASY. And then it's at AskinsInsuranceTeam.com. You can also look at my website, AskinsInsuranceTeam.com.
Yeah, all the social media. It's all
the
there.
social media, Askins Insurance Team.
Yeah. There might be somebody out there. I never want this to be a recruiting podcast, but you've got 3 right now. You want to go to 5.
2 more.
There may be 2 people out there that are saying, hey, that's the person
I'm really
I wanna work
fun.
with. Yeah, she is. She's a good time. She will race you down the hall. So hope you're competitive. Casey, thanks for being on.
Thanks,
guys.
Dallas.
Appreciate you tuning in. I enjoyed this show so much, man. It's fun to get to be around people that have the same drive, the same passion, and we are trying to bring passion to Medicare. Like I said in the beginning, please like, subscribe, follow, share, do all this stuff. Send in your comments, questions. Thank you to Adam in the producer booth, always making me look good. Appreciate y'all. Have a great day, and we will see you next time on the Medicare Sales Playbook.